I think it started as an exercise to help other people find hope, but it's so infectious. And she observed like people becoming more hopeful, and then I've noticed her becoming more hopeful.
Okay.
And that makes me feel more hopeful.
Anxiety and stress seems to be cause for concern for the young particularly, and not all the ways of dealing with that are healthy. You mentioned for this anxiety is that they have access to more information. They just know more. So it's just a natural consequence of that. But how do you deal with that?
I teach a class about climate change. Last year I discovered, especially after the pandemic, a huge amount of anxiety and stress where students were not coming to class. They were actually writing to me and saying, I can't come to class because of this. So many of them had it. This year I changed the class and changed their assignments, and I talked to them about the difference between knowledge and clickbait on their phones and said, you're learning about climate science. Don't read the clickbait. Go to the articles that we're talking about. And then I made 3 assignments, and the first one is find something, an article, a report, anything in the news that gives you hope. And your first assignment is to share that with the class. State why you like that. Why does their message of hope also give you hope? And then our final class, we actually hold a class where we talk about what hope is and what it means, and is it valuable to you and how? And what do they do when something gives them hope? Does it inspire them to do something? I have found that this particular year of students has responded so well. They're talking much more like they have power rather than they're desperate.
I think it started as an exercise to help other people find hope, but it's so infectious. And she observed like people becoming more hopeful, and then I've noticed her becoming more hopeful.
Okay.
And that makes me feel more hopeful.
It's just forcing them to take their minds away from crisis and move them in the direction of things that are actually making them feel positive. They're seeing their own power. That's what I have found is one thing that's been really valuable, is just to try and get them in touch with what makes them hopeful.
So interesting because it was done in service of others, not to make yourself feel more hopeful. And I think that's some of the answer. When you feel down, like focus on other people and being of service to other people. And the net result is that it'll become infectious, and it's so powerful. Like
You always have to have hope, because even if it's a glimmer of hope, and people think about hope in very different ways, but once you abandon hope, then there's no point.
Right.
And so even a glimmer of hope is enough for you to continue working towards a solution.